The slap came so fast that Aisha barely saw it coming. Her head jerked to the side, her cheek burning from the impact. A heavy silence filled the living room, broken only by the wail of her newborn baby in the crib. "How dare you bring shame to this family?" Mama Kofi's voice thundered, her face twisted with disgust. "That child is not my son's. You are a disgrace." Aisha clutched her cheek, her heart pounding. She looked at her husband, Kofi, her eyes pleading for him to defend her. But he stood frozen, his jaw clenched, his gaze avoiding hers. Tears welled up in Aisha's eyes. This wasn't the homecoming she had imagined. After 9 months of carrying her child, enduring the pain of labor, she had returned to what she thought was a loving home. But now, she felt like an intruder in her own house. Mama Kofi paced the room, her wrapper swishing as she moved. "This is not my grandchild. I knew it the moment I saw the baby. He looks nothing like Kofi. Where did you get him from, Aisha?" Aisha gasped. "Mama, what are you saying? This is Kofi's son." Mama Kofi pointed a shaky finger at the sleeping baby. "Look at his skin. Too light. His nose, his hair, nothing like my son's." She turned to Kofi, her voice dripping with venom. "You must demand a DNA test. If you don't, you are a fool." Aisha felt her knees weaken. "Kofi, say something. Tell her the truth." Kofi finally lifted his gaze. His eyes held conflict, but when he opened his mouth, the words that came out shattered Aisha's heart. "Mama is right. We need a DNA test." Aisha staggered backward. The man she loved, the father of her child, was questioning her? "Kofi, you know me. How can you?" Her voice broke. Mama Kofi smirked. "A woman like you? Who knows what you did while my son was away for work?" Aisha's hands trembled. "I have been faithful, Kofi. This is your son." Kofi ran a hand over his face. "Then prove it." Aisha's world spun. Everything she had built with Kofi, every moment of love, trust, and sacrifice was being reduced to a test. Mama Kofi folded her arms, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. "Until the results come, I don't want to see that bastard in this house." Aisha's blood ran cold. She had just given birth. She was weak. But at that moment, she realized something. She was no longer just fighting for herself. She was fighting for her child. If they wanted war, they would get it. Aisha sat on the bed in the small guest room, her hands wrapped around her baby, cradling him close. The room was cold, not just from the Harmattan wind slipping through the cracks of the window, but from the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest. She had given everything to Kofi. Her love, her trust, her body, her entire life. And now, after all the pain, after laboring for hours to bring their son into the world, he had turned his back on her. A DNA test? Tears streamed down her face as she looked at her son. His tiny fingers twitched, his round cheeks rising and falling with each breath. He was innocent in all of this, yet they were treating him like a mistake. A knock on the door startled her. She wiped her face quickly as the door creaked open. It was her sister-in-law, Abena, the only person in Kofi's family who had ever shown her kindness. Abena stepped in, closing the door behind her. She sighed, sitting beside Aisha. "Sister, I'm so sorry." Aisha shook her head, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why are they doing this to me, Abena? Why is Mama so sure? And Kofi, how could he doubt me?" Abena hesitated before speaking. "You know Mama Kofi. She is stubborn. She has always believed that only her bloodline matters. She thinks no one is good enough for Kofi, not even you." Aisha sniffled. "But we've been married for 3 years. She accepted me before. What changed?" Abena lowered her voice. "She never really accepted you. She tolerated you because Kofi insisted on marrying you. But now that a child is involved, she sees an opportunity to break your marriage apart." Aisha gasped. "But why would she want that?" Abena looked away. "Because she has someone else in mind for Kofi." Aisha felt her stomach drop. "What?" Abena hesitated before continuing. "Her friend's daughter, Adwoa. She has been trying to set them up for years. But when Kofi chose you, she had no choice but to step back. Now, she thinks she has a reason to push you out." Aisha felt a wave of rage she had never known before. All this time, she had been fighting a battle she didn't even know existed. She clenched her jaw. "I won't let her win. This is my family, my home, my child." Abena nodded. "I believe you, but you need to be strong. The DNA test is in 2 days. Until then, Mama Kofi will do everything to make your life miserable." Aisha held her baby tighter. 2 days. 2 days of humiliation, of being treated like a liar. She would endure it. But after the results came out, she would make sure no one ever questioned her again. The next morning, Aisha stepped into the kitchen, determined to act normal. She wouldn't give Mama Kofi the satisfaction of seeing her broken. She started preparing breakfast, but before she could even light the stove, Mama Kofi stormed in. "Why are you touching my food?" she barked. Aisha turned, confused. "I was just making breakfast." Mama Kofi scoffed. "For who? Not for my son. He doesn't eat food prepared by unfaithful women." Aisha's grip tightened on the spoon in her hand. "Mama, I have done nothing wrong. Why are you treating me this way?" Mama Kofi sneered. "Because I know women like you. You pretend to be good, but the moment your husband turns his back, you open your legs for another man." Aisha gasped. "Mama!" "Don't mama me," she snapped. "You will leave this house once that test proves the truth." Aisha squared her shoulders. "And if it proves that Kofi is the father?" Mama Kofi's lips pressed into a thin line. "That baby is not my grandson. I don't care what some paper says." Aisha's blood boiled. "Then this is not about the truth. It's about your hatred for me." Mama Kofi stepped closer, her eyes burning with anger. "You are right. I never wanted you in this family, and soon you will be gone." Aisha swallowed hard. 2 days. Just 2 more days. But something in Mama Kofi's eyes made her uneasy. Would she really wait for the results? Or did she have something else planned? Aisha barely slept that night. She lay awake, her baby curled in her arms, listening to the whispers that seeped through the thin walls. The entire household was against her. Even the housemaids, once polite, had turned cold. They moved around her like she was a disease, sneaking glances and muttering under their breaths. She knew Mama Kofi had poisoned their minds. The next morning, she woke up to the sound of murmuring outside her door. She sat up, heart pounding. Something felt off. Carefully, she got up and opened the door. What she saw made her stomach twist. Kofi stood in the living room, his arms crossed, while Mama Kofi sat on the couch with a smug smile. Standing beside her was a tall, beautiful woman dressed in an elegant green lace gown. She had flawless dark skin, a slender figure, and an air of confidence. Aisha's throat tightened. This had to be Adwoa, the woman Mama Kofi wanted for Kofi. Aisha clutched her baby protectively. She stepped forward, her heart racing. "What's going on?" Mama Kofi's smile widened. "Oh, Aisha, you're awake just in time. Meet Adwoa. She has come to support our family in this difficult time." Aisha's hands trembled. "Support? Or take my place?" Adwoa smiled sweetly, but her eyes held something sharp. "I'm just here as a friend, Aisha. Kofi and I go way back." She turned to Kofi, resting a hand lightly on his arm. "We've been through a lot together, haven't we?" Aisha's heart sank. Kofi didn't move away. Instead, he sighed and ran a hand over his face. "Aisha, I don't want any problems. Let's just wait for the DNA test, okay?" Aisha's nails dug into her palm. "And what is she doing here?" Mama Kofi clapped her hands together. "Oh, Adwoa will be staying here for a few days. She'll help take care of things while we sort out this mess." Aisha's blood boiled. "I'm his wife, Mama. This is my home. You can't just bring another woman in here." Mama Kofi's expression turned cold. "This is my son's house, and until we know the truth, you are nothing but a guest." Aisha's breath hitched. Kofi didn't correct his mother. He just stood there, silent. Aisha's body trembled with anger. The disrespect was unbearable. She turned to Kofi, desperation in her voice. "Kofi, you promised to stand by me. How can you let them do this?" Kofi looked away. I don't know what to believe anymore, Aisha." His words hit harder than any slap. Aisha felt tears sting her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She looked at Adwoa, who smirked slightly, as if she had already won. Aisha turned on her heel and marched back to her room. She slammed the door shut and locked it. She wouldn't cry. She wouldn't beg. She would fight. The next few hours were unbearable. Every time she stepped out of her room, she saw Adwoa sitting next to Kofi and laughing, touching his arm, whispering things into his ear. Mama Kofi watched proudly, as if she had already erased Aisha from the picture. At dinner, Aisha walked into the dining room and stopped in her tracks. The table was set beautifully, but there was no plate for her. Mama Kofi smiled. "Oh, Aisha, I didn't think you'd want to eat with us." Aisha clenched her jaw. "I live here." Adwoa laughed softly. "You can always order something for yourself. After all, you might not be here much longer." Aisha's fists tightened. "I am still Kofi's wife." Adwoa tilted her head. "For now." Kofi shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Aisha refused to show weakness. She turned and walked back to her room, but as she closed the door, she heard Adwoa's voice. Kofi, you deserve better. Something inside Aisha snapped. That night, as she sat on the bed rocking her baby, her mind raced. She couldn't wait for the DNA test results to prove her son's legitimacy. But even after that, would things ever go back to normal? Would Kofi ever respect her again? She knew one thing for sure. Mama Kofi and Adwoa were playing a dirty game. And if she didn't fight back, they would win. She kissed her baby's forehead. 2 more days. She had to survive 2 more days. But deep down, she knew this battle was far from over. Aisha sat in her room, staring at the ceiling, her baby asleep beside her. The house no longer felt like a home. It felt like a battlefield. Every time she stepped out of her room, she was met with cold stares, fake smiles, and whispers behind her back. Adwoa had completely inserted herself into the household, moving as though she already owned the place. Mama Kofi treated her like a daughter, laughing with her, praising her cooking, and making it clear to everyone that she was the woman she wanted for her son. And Kofi? Kofi barely looked at Aisha anymore. He avoided her, spent his time in the living room with Adwoa, and when he spoke, his words were distant, cold. Aisha was running out of strength, but she wasn't going to break. Not yet. The next morning, Aisha walked into the kitchen to prepare her baby's food. She barely had a chance to step inside before she heard Adwoa's voice. "Oh, don't worry, Mama Kofi. I'll take care of Kofi's breakfast. He needs a woman who truly cares about him." Aisha froze. Mama Kofi chuckled. "Ah, my dear Adwoa, you are a blessing. Kofi deserves a woman who knows how to handle a home." Adwoa's voice softened. "Some women only care about trapping a man with a child." Aisha gripped the countertop, her nails digging into the surface. She took a deep breath and walked in. "If you have something to say, Adwoa, say it to my face." Adwoa turned, her smile as fake as her concern. "Oh, Aisha, I didn't see you there." Mama Kofi scoffed. "What are you doing in my kitchen?" Aisha held up the baby's bottle. "I came to get water for my child." Mama Kofi rolled her eyes. "That child is the reason we are all in this mess." Aisha's chest tightened. "That child is your grandson." "That's what we're waiting to confirm," Mama Kofi said, folding her arms. Adwoa placed a hand on her hip. "Honestly, Aisha, why are you still here? You know things will never go back to the way they were. Kofi doesn't even look at you the same way." Aisha turned to her, her voice steady. "I'm still his wife, Adwoa. And until I'm not, you are just an intruder." Mama Kofi gasped. "How dare you?" Adwoa smirked. "You're holding on to a man who has already moved on, Aisha. Just leave before you embarrass yourself even more." Aisha's hands trembled, but she refused to let them see her break. She turned and left the kitchen, but their laughter followed her down the hall. That evening, Kofi came home late. Aisha had stayed in her room the entire day, avoiding the constant insults and cold shoulders. But when she heard Kofi's voice, she gathered her courage and walked out. She found him in the living room with Adwoa, both of them laughing like old lovers. Aisha's heart ached, but she pushed her pain aside. "Kofi, can we talk?" Kofi sighed, rubbing his temple. "Aisha, not now." Adwoa leaned closer. "Oh, let her talk. I'm sure it's something dramatic." Aisha clenched her fists. "I want to know where we stand, Kofi. After the DNA results come out, will you still let them treat me this way?" Kofi looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Aisha, I just need time." "Time for what?" she demanded. "To decide if you still love me? Or to decide if you want to replace me?" Adwoa chuckled. "You're making this harder than it needs to be, Aisha." Aisha ignored her. "Kofi, do you still see a future with me?" Kofi hesitated. That hesitation cut deeper than any words. Aisha felt the tears threatening to fall, but she held them back. "I understand." She turned to leave, but Mama Kofi's voice rang out. "You should start packing your bags, Aisha. The results will be out tomorrow, and when they prove what we already know, you will leave this house for good." Aisha didn't answer. She walked to her room, locked the door, and sat on the floor, her heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. Tomorrow, everything would be decided. Would she finally be free? Or would she lose everything? Aisha barely slept. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying everything that had led to this moment. The accusations, the insults, the humiliation, it all came down to today. The DNA test results would be out. She glanced at her sleeping baby, her heart aching. How could they question his identity? How could Kofi, the man she loved, doubt his own child? By morning, the house was tense. Everyone was waiting. Aisha stayed in her room, holding her baby close. She didn't want to see their smug faces. She didn't want to hear their cruel words. But she had no choice. Around noon, Kofi walked in, his expression serious. "They're here," he said. Aisha took a deep breath. "All right." She followed him to the living room, her legs feeling heavy. Mama Kofi sat in her usual spot, a victorious smile playing on her lips. Adwoa sat beside her, looking too comfortable in a house that wasn't hers. The doctor held the envelope. Silence filled the room. Kofi took the envelope with shaking hands. He swallowed hard before tearing it open. His eyes moved over the paper, scanning the results. Aisha held her breath. Then Kofi's face paled. His hands trembled. He looked up, his eyes filled with something Aisha couldn't quite understand. Regret? Shame? Guilt? Mama Kofi leaned forward. "Kofi, what does it say?" Kofi's voice was hoarse. "He's mine." The room went still. Mama Kofi blinked. "What? The baby? He's mine," Kofi repeated louder this time. Adwoa's mouth fell open. Mama Kofi's face twisted in disbelief. "No, that's not possible." Kofi handed her the paper. "Read it yourself." Mama Kofi snatched the document, her eyes darting over the results. The color drained from her face. No, this must be a mistake. Aisha let out a shaky breath, tears filling her eyes. She had known the truth all along. But now they had no choice but to accept it. Adwoa stood up, shaking her head. This is not real. Kofi, you saw how she behaved. She's not the right woman for you." Kofi turned to Adwoa, his expression unreadable. "I was blinded by lies." Adwoa reached for him, but he stepped back. "No, Adwoa, I let you and my mother poison my mind against my own wife. I made the worst mistake a man could make. I doubted the woman who stood by me." Aisha's chest tightened. Was this real? Kofi turned to Mama Kofi. "And you, Ma, you put her through hell. My own wife, the mother of my son." Mama Kofi stammered. I just wanted what was best for you." "What was best for me?" Kofi's voice was sharp. "You tried to break my family apart." Mama Kofi looked away, but she had no defense. Aisha wiped her tears. "Now you all see what I've known from the start, but do you think an apology will erase the pain you put me through?" Kofi stepped closer, his face filled with remorse. "Aisha, No." Aisha raised a hand. "I begged you to trust me. I pleaded with you to see the truth. But you turned your back on me. You let them humiliate me, disrespect me. You let that woman walk into our home and take my place." Kofi swallowed. "I know I messed up. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but You're right." Aisha cut in. "You don't." Silence. Kofi's hands trembled. "Aisha, please. We can fix this." Aisha looked at him, the man she had once loved so deeply, but something had changed inside her. She had fought too hard, suffered too much. "You broke us, Kofi," she whispered, "and some things can't be fixed." Kofi's face crumbled. Mama Kofi let out a small gasp. "Aisha, you can't mean that. Where will you go? What about the baby?" Aisha looked at her son, her heart swelling with love. "I'll raise him in a home where he is loved, where his mother is respected." Then, with her head held high, she walked to her room, packed her bags, and left. She didn't look back. Not once. That's the end of the story. Aisha chose herself, her child, and her peace.